So
No,
please,
don't.
special.
No.
It
Don't
would be
comment.
nice if we get a damn pickle out of this thing.
Actually, this is the last sponsorship.
This week is Parshas Shelach, and Shabbos Mevorchim comes, right? Shabbos Mevorchim this week. And today it's Chav Gimel Sivim, by the way. It's still the night of Chav Gimel Sivim. The Rebbe said whatever a Yid wants to daven for, he could daven for today.
Do I have to write it down?
You can just say it in... Anyway, in the times of Megillah, it said that they had the ability to try Chav Gimel Sivim, whatever, Moed was able to try, whatever he could decrease for the Jewish people. Parshas Shelach, the main thing on Parshas Shelach is the story of the Meraglim. And the story of the Meraglim is the lesson is eternal. And it's a very powerful lesson. There's many different angles of understanding the sin of the Meraglim, but it all boils down to one essential point. What was the sin of the Meraglim? Moshe Rabbeinu handpicked 12 individuals. Who, if Moshe Rabbeinu handpicked them, you could understand that they were the cream of the crop. And they were tzaddikim. The good Rashi says when they were sent on the mission, they were tzaddikim. And they go, and it seems like they make one of the most terrible mistakes ever made in history. Because of them, the Jewish people remain in the desert for 40 years. And, it's one of the most severe sins. It's considered the sin of the Meraglim. So how is it possible that the top of the top fell through? And there's many different explanations, but there's the bottom line is that the point is that when every person is sent on a mission. When you're in life, you're by default, you're on a mission. The mission is the Eibusher creates you. He doesn't create you as a robot, doesn't create you as a zombie. He gives you a head on your shoulders. He wants you to figure out how to do things the best way possible, whether it's Gashmias, Beruchmias. And then he gives you like this. The Eibusher gives guidelines. He says what the mission is, what the Torah mitzvahs are. And then he sends you, he says now you figure out how to go about doing it. So here, the person could think that if I'm being given the intellectual capacity or the free choice or the position to decide what to do, how to do, when to do, so that means I decide if to do. In other words, it's my, I own the goal. I own the if I'm the one that decides the means to the end, maybe I could decide if the end itself is worth it or not. So the Meraglim were sent on a mission. They were meant to see the land. They weren't meant to come back and give a report if you could conquer the land. They weren't asked to come to any conclusions. But they felt if we're being sent on a mission, shouldn't we already try to figure out, more than what we're being sent for? What, if, how, when? Try to throw in some intellectual, shrewdness and undercover espionage, and to try to figure out what, where, when, and how. And they mess up. Why did they mess up? Because they're mixing up two fundamental points. There's what you're meant to do and what you're not meant to do. And when you overdo it, when you cross the borderline, when you use out your capacities not to just figure out how to do it, but if to do it, then there's no way you're going to make the right choice. Because what to do is the Eibusher knows what has to happen. The Eibusher is the only one that guarantees success. And even if human intellect cannot necessarily figure out how that's possible to do, but you have to know that's what the Eibusher decided. It has the potential to come to fruition. The question is how to do it. How to do it. That Eibusher Dafka wants you to figure it out. So on any level, it's the same thing. Sometimes a person, he doesn't think, he thinks he's being given a mission to do. So he thinks that if it comes out in my eyes, I was handpicked to be in charge of this committee or to be involved in this particular activity. And everyone told me you're the guy for the job. And I think it comes out of my mind and so is the right, is how it has to be. Could be you're right, could be you're wrong. It could be that someone else understands things better than you. Could be you don't understand the full picture. So a person has to know his limits. So the Meraglim thought Moshe Rabbeinu handpicked us. If we feel that we can't conquer Eretz Yisrael, of course that must be 10 out of the 12. Talking about a huge majority of the Meraglim felt it's impossible to conquer Eretz Yisrael. So they thought if we feel that way, that must be the truth, right? After all, we are the
chosen.
We are the chosen. But no, that was their mistake. Their mistake was it could have gone to Moshe. So listen, Moshe, when these guys are massive, huge, giants, strong as anything, how is it possible to conquer? Moshe Rabbeinu would have told them, don't worry, you saw this miracle, that miracle, the Eibusher has a plan. But they didn't think that Moshe Rabbeinu could have possibly had much more insight into the matter than they did. Because after all, they were the ones that went there and they saw it, right? So in general, a lot of times in life, we sometimes, specifically maybe because we're chosen for the job, we let ourselves take our position too highly, in the sense that we don't consider ever asking or taking into consideration asking someone that's better than us, or taking into consideration that maybe another opinion is taka better than us. So that's one thing. Another thing that Rebbe said many times is that the Meraglim, Rebbe said this different ways, but the point is, one of the ways that Rebbe explained it once, the Meraglim were meant to be scouts, not spies. You know the difference between a scout and a spy? A scout is a very neutral part of position. A scout goes and he sees how many people live here, how many people live there, is the water healthy, is the people have good food, do this and that. He's not here to make strategy. He's here to give a report. That's
Data
all.
collection.
Data collection. Then you have a strategist. You have someone that comes and figures out how to do things. Moshe Rabbeinu told him to be a scout. He wants the Jewish people want to know what the land of Israel is all about. So he sends a spy. He says, go and figure out and let me know what's going on. That's all. He didn't ask them to start making strategies. Again, there's different interpretations, there's different opinions, there's different, what Rebbe himself explained differently. At least according to this Sikha, the Rebbe does, if you look closely at the words, they weren't sent to make strategies. Just collect
So why they had
data.
to hire such great people? They should have, for scouting, you could send a simple.
You have a very good question. I don't know the answer offhand. If you look in the Sikha Chelak on the Gimel, I think it is maybe the Rebbe addresses it.
What do you understand?
What?
What do you understand?
What do I understand? Moshe Rabbeinu wanted Parshas and Shat. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted the Jewish people to trust the report, and he took the hand chosen. Also, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that this was a tricky situation, because the Eibush himself told him, listen, I'm not telling you to do it, I'm leaving it open-ended, they might make a mistake. So Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to make sure he has the cream of the crop. It wouldn't make the mistake, but at the end they did make the mistake. So at any rate, so they start, Moshe Rabbeinu notices how they're starting to become spies.
So you ask sophisticated people to do a simple job, they overcomplicate it. That's
Who
the way
says
to...
sophisticated?
Okay, that's what
You
you
say
You
say.
send a simple shliach, and that's it. They just say, no, that's it.
Yeah, so then
You send a complicated, the Hebrew mention, and
yeah,
best
anyway,
mention,
so
they
that's
overcomplicate
one
a simple job. That's
So
the
the
takeaway.
Nekuda is also, the Eibusher asks us, when we come into this world, the Eibusher asks us to look out, Yasuru Asadas, we have to figure out how to do what we need to do. Right, it's very clear. The Eibusher, the Fedish wants a Shelach l'cha l'daycha. The Rebbe will speak many times. The Eibusher told Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm leaving it up to you. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu send spies, like we mentioned before? The Eibusher told Moshe Rabbeinu, I'm leaving room for them to make a mistake. So the Rebbe says, because Moshe Rabbeinu understood that the Eibusher doesn't want a person to be just fill out a checklist, be told everything to do. Part of Yiddishkeit is that you have your free choice, you have your own brains, and use your own brains to figure out what to do. So Moshe Rabbeinu looks at this as a wonderful opportunity for the Jewish people to finally be involved, not just to follow orders, but to figure out how to do what they need to do. But the problem is that without the proper foundation of Kabbalah soil, you mess up, because you start using, instead of coming with the goal, with the mentality that it could be done, and let me just try to see what's the best way I could try to do it. It's let me try to, once they try to figure out if it could be done, let's make plans and strategies. So then a big question starts creeping in. Could we do it in the first place?
So the sin wasn't the fact that what they reported,
The
sin
sin
was
that they
conclusion.
came with a conclusion. But what made them come to that conclusion? What made them come to that conclusion was a very innocent-looking deviation from their mission.
What was that deviation?
That they were sent to be scouts, not to be spies. They were sent to give a report, not sent to figure out, come to any conclusions about what if you could do, or start making tachbula, start figuring out chachmulach to outsmart the enemy. So also spiritually, we know that the spies didn't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. They were afraid. They go to Eretz Yisrael. They come face to face with Gashmis. You have to realize they were in the highest spiritual oasis that probably existed for many, maybe even in a period in history.
They had
They were in the
unemployment.
desert, unemployment. They didn't even need unemployment.
Free hand washing.
Free food, free water, the best food you could get, the best water you could get from the Mon and the water from Miriam's well. and they have the clouds of glory are fixing their clothes, are polishing their clothes. Spiritually, they're hearing Torah from Moshe, eating the mon, which was a special type of food that opened up their hearts and minds to Torah. Here they come to Eretz Yisrael, and they see the Goyim, which lived at the land, which were fully sunk in the Gashmis. And they see how Eretz Yisrael is a land that you come into close contact with Gashmis, and they say it's Eretz Echalas Yeshva.
People eating in restaurants, beaches.
Yeah, so this is a land. In other words, it's Eretz, it's an earth, it's physical land that eats up its inhabitants. You go there, you're not going to look the same way as you were in the desert. And they say, we're afraid, we're not going to be able to handle it. We're going to fry out. We're going to lose it all. It's not just that they don't see how it's possible. Chassidus says, the Nefesh Elokis sees the Nefesh, well, who's more passionate? The Nefesh Elokis or the Nefesh Bahamas? The Nefesh Bahamas is much more passionate, has much more of a will and a passion. Nefesh Elokis, maybe his passion is maybe more pure, maybe more sincere. But the animal soul's passion is more powerful and more studentic and stormy. So the Nefesh Elokis says, how would I conquer the Nefesh Bahamas? Nefesh Bahamas' passion is powerful. That's what the Meraglim said. Eretz Echeles Yishva. So what did Kalev tell them? He says, no, again, you're coming the same thing they were coming. If Kalev's advantage was, he went to Kivrei Yavis. Kalev realized there's things going on over here. There's
sketchy
conspiracies, there's people are changing their mind. He has to connect himself with something which is beyond intellect. Where does he go? He goes to Hebron and he goes davens al Kivrei Yavis. He goes to the oil. If you don't want to say the word oil, it's fine. You go wherever he is, he goes. And he connects himself, he prays, he realizes that he needs special divine support to remain connected to something which is beyond logic. Yeshua didn't have to go to Hebron, because Yeshua had the bracha from Moshe Rabbeinu, that Moshe Rabbeinu davened from, he was connected to Moshe. So Kalev and Yeshua, their foundation was that the main point of serving the Eibush is what the Eibush wants. The Eibush wants, then on the contrary, if we go into Eretz Yisrael, if we go into the physical world with the notion that we're not coming here to see what benefit we get, we're coming here because that's what the Eibush wants us to do. If that's your approach, Gashmis won't have power over you, because you're coming into Gashmis with the mentality that we could do it, and the Eibush wants us to be here for a reason. So then he says, Toiva Oretz Mo'id Mo'id, the elevation you get from Gashmis, Chassidus explains, is Mo'id Mo'id, is double Mo'id, is Bli Gvul. So the spies were looking, what's in it for ourselves? And hold on, in the desert, everything was in it for you. Physically, spiritual, in the land of Israel, nothing was in it for you, particularly when you're coming compared to the desert. Shua and Kalev weren't looking what's in it for me. They were looking, what does David want? They see David wants, yeah, it's a different experience, but they see this experience could lead to the greatest heights. So when we serve David, we have to have Kabbalah soil, we have to have Bittul, we have to realize it could be done. And also, part of it is, don't look what's in it for me. If you look what's in it for me, you're already meshuchad, you're already bribed. You're bribed by your own desire to, first of all, gain whatever it is, a physical, spiritual advantage. You're bribed by your desire to stay away, not to leave your comfort zone, and so on and so forth. So when it comes to serving the Eibush, it can't be what's in it for me. If you say, this is what the Eibush wants, that's how you're successful. This soul is obviously very much related to Gimel Tammuz. This week is Shabbos and Baruch and Kodesh Tammuz. We're going to Gimel Tammuz. The message of Gimel Tammuz of the Rebbe was, the Rebbe gave us a mission to bring Mashiach, to spread the message to the world. And throughout the Rebbe's Nasius, the Rebbe's success was, right, yeah, we all sit back, and we pat our backs, all the Babish, you accomplished so much. Let's be honest, this was something which was completely, if you would have asked the analysts in Wall Street, they would have told you it made no sense.
Short to stock.
They would have told you, that going into places that were completely not happy about having the Yiddish presence and being successful didn't make sense. But what is when you go? Because that's what the Yiddish wants. And the question is not, could we be successful? The question is, how to become successful? Then you are successful. So anyway, the same thing when it comes and everything in life. Person could say, have this issue, that issue, I'm distant from Yiddishkeit, I'm distant from whatever it is. Is it possible for me to do it? So if you start making calculations, could I, can't I, most likely you're going to make the wrong calculations. If you look at it, what does David want from me? What is the path that the Eibusher would want me to do? The Eibusher would want me to do this and this. So it might be difficult, but let me go there. Let me close my eyes for. Close your eyes doesn't mean become a shaitan, become a fool. But let me trust the Eibusher. Let me see what steps could I take in that direction. And if you'll take those steps, then you're going with the power of the Eibusher. You'll be successful. And if you, the other hand, if you do something which naturally makes all the sense in the world, all the analysts will tell you make a huge amount of money, whatever it is, you might not be successful. Why? Because it depends on something. There's a higher player over here. So this is the Nekuda, right? This is also the end of Parshas Shelach speaks about tzitzis, right? And if you look at tzitzis, there's a very strong connection because by tzitzis also it says v'lo yisasuru. You know, it's the same words by the Raglim. It says yisuru. They should scout the land. By tzitzis it says through wearing tzitzis you won't sasur. You won't go after your eyes and your heart. Right? What's tzitzis? Tzitzis is also tzitzis means that on your garments you have a reminder. So remember the Eibusher. There's something beyond you. Right? So yeah, anyway, that's the bottom line. So l'chaim, we should do our mission. We should be successful in our mission. The Eibusher should grant us success. We should bring Mashiach now. We shouldn't have any difficulties in life. We should be able to overcome all the difficulties in life, and we should manage to enter our own land of Israel, the land of Israel, together with Mashiach, with true happiness and faith and courage, and take it from Yad Mamish.
Amen.
Right, whatever.
Very good.